Some sad news out of Jefferson County for you all this evening. An early morning fire claims the life of a Steubenville woman, and now that fire has been ruled suspicious. Flames broke out at a home at 324 South Commercial Street in Steubenville. Fire investigators said 60-year-old Donna Fusto died, and authorities said the fire was suspicious. However, the Ohio Fire Marshal Shane Cartmill said they have not ruled the fire arson and have not determined a cause. 2 other people lived there, including the woman's husband and brother. The brother was not home when that fire started. It looks like natural gas drilling may take place in and around the city of Wellsburg after all. Today, city leaders are sitting down with our Dave Elias to explain their change in plans. Dave is in our Steubenville newsroom with much more tonight.
Well, you might recall that the city of Wellsburg recently adopted laws that forbid drilling not only in the city limits but within a 1-mile radius of the community. Well, it appears now they're changing their minds, and today I wanted to find out why. Both the city manager and mayor sat down with me today to explain why council appears to have had a change of heart. Mayor Sue Simonetti believes the main reason is money.
I think probably the main concern is the threat of the litigation from Chesapeake Energy. We understand that it'll be quite costly, and the city of Wellsburg doesn't have that kind of money to put out for litigation. I think that's part of the reasons. The rest of them, I can't speak for council.
Simonetti and the city manager are both against drilling within a 1-mile radius. Their concern is that the water may later become contaminated. They say their intention all along was public safety.
We're negotiating with the Chesapeake to provide some protection for our watershed, and I thought we were making some headway, but they did not like our ordinance, and they asked to be put on the agenda before the council to be reconsidered, and that's what happened.
Now, the change has already gone through its first reading, but still must go through a second reading before it can be rescinded. Now, some had speculated that City Council's reason for changing their mind was Chesapeake Energy's announcement that it was taking away a grant from Wellsburg Middle School and giving it to Follinsby Middle School. But city officials tell me that couldn't be further from the truth. They say their main concern was an expensive legal battle with Chesapeake Energy. From our Steubenville newsroom, Dave Elias, 7 News.
Taking you to Belmont County tonight, it's been a year since the village of Flushing lost its post office, but now they've learned that they are getting a new one. It will be called a community post office and will work a little differently, as 7 News reporter DK Wright explains tonight.
This is the site of the new post office. Yes, it's a convenient, and it will remain the convenient, but it will now have a post office in it. The old Flushing post office stands empty. The Postal Service said no to a full-service post office, but they granted them permission to have a community post office, which means it is put inside an existing business, like a store.
And then the business is responsible for the boxes, providing the space, and having an employee to handle that area.
Several businesses applied for it. Convenient got it. The 150 P.O. boxes will go up front here where the videos are now. The counter will be where this counter is now. Store owner Eva Miller and 1 employee will soon be trained on how to run a post office. It's been a year since Flushing had its own mail service. Residents have been driving to Holloway, and they say that was a burden.
I think the people affected the worst were probably the seniors, having to drive that far to get their mail. Some people have told me they only go once every 2 weeks to get their mail because they just don't, it's inconvenient to go down there.
Some people even carpooled or had one person pick up several people's mail. They say it's been a hard year.
We're resilient people. We do what we have to do, and we had to do that, so we did it. But now that it's coming back, it will be great.
They say a community post office has every type of service except registered letters. They say it could be in place as early as September. Reporting in Flushing for 7 News, I'm DK Wright.
2 organizations are uniting to better Wheeling, proving there is strength in numbers. The East Wheeling Business Council and the Wheeling Downtown Business Association are merging. The 2 groups have been meeting over the past 2 months and reached an agreement on coming together. Today was the first time that the newly formed Wheeling Business Council met at the Hazel Atlas building. The council is a private take on economic development designed to complement and work with city and state initiatives.
What is common about both of our goals is to promote business in Wheeling. We know that our neighborhoods need that. We want to retain businesses and create a climate that is inviting to the businesses that are already located here in Wheeling.
Our goals were so similar that it ended up being really a great thing to end up bringing the two organizations together. So all of a sudden we went from a much smaller organization to a larger organization, uniquely positioned to end up bringing more people and more involvement with the city.
The group wants to work with anyone who has an interest in Wheeling's success, according to Santorin. The Wheeling Convention and Visitors Bureau is taking what it learned from a tourism conference in New Orleans and applying it to the city of Wheeling. 7 News reporter Amy Wattis talked to the CVB today to find out how they plan on doing all this. She joins us live from the newsroom with more details. Amy?
Well, Leanne, Executive Director of the CVB, Frank O'Brien, tells me he just got back from New Orleans after sitting through a tourism conference there. He says he's ready to bring more people into the city. It was the Destination Marketing Association International Conference, drawing in directors from around the world with the goal of sharing tourism practices. O'Brien says he quickly learned that Wheeling is on the right track, but still does need to do a little bit more. He says Wheeling is accomplishing the task with its fairs and festivals, but would like to see more street musicians around the city, like on Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
I was able to really explore some internet marketing techniques. Social media certainly is something that's we need to get involved more with. This Wheeling mobile app that we've just recently unveiled demonstrates that we are on the right track.
O'Brien suggests bringing in new attractions to the city's different districts like Center Market or Wheeling Island. He feels Water Street downtown is a great way to start. So overall, O'Brien believes tourism is a key part to the city's revitalization and a vital part of its growth for the future. Reporting live for 7 News at 5, I'm Amy Wattis. Leanne?
And Wheeling is the wonderful backdrop for a new film set to be released next month. A news conference will be held tomorrow at the Highlands Marquee Cinemas regarding the release of Doughboy. Details will be outlined for the upcoming film gala event to be held in Wheeling. This family drama, directed by J.W. Myers in cooperation with Route 40 and Studio Flyover Films, is about a 16-year-old boy named Tori who moves from New York to a small West Virginia town. When Tori is caught vandalizing a patriotic town statue of a World War I veteran, he is ordered to perform community service at a local veterans hospital. Through the experience, Tori meets individuals who challenge his perspective on the world. Looks pretty good. Making news across the nation for you tonight, neither side has blinked yet in the partisan battle over an agreement to raise the nation's debt ceiling. If there's no deal today, it will leave 1 week before the U.S. defaults on its debt. Jay Dow reports now from Capitol Hill.
House and Senate leaders are entering the final week before a feared government default with no deal, so now they're presenting rival proposals. The Republican plan includes spending cuts that exceed the debt ceiling hike. It would require another debt hike the first of next year.
Time's running short, and I think it would be irresponsible for the president to veto such legislation because it is a common sense plan.
On the Democratic side, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says a stopgap measure like that is a dangerous move.
A short-term agreement risks many of the same dire consequences that would be triggered by the default itself.
The Democrats' plan would cut $2.7 trillion in spending, raise the debt ceiling by $2.4 trillion, and leave programs like Social Security and Medicare untouched. With the clock running out, President Obama is supporting Senator Reid's proposal.
Both parties have a responsibility to come together and solve the problem and make sure that the American people aren't hurt.
A last-minute deal still has a chance of passing Congress before the deadline, but it's still uncertain whether that agreement will represent a long-term solution to the nation's budget deficit or a short-term fix. Many fear a short-term fix could still put the nation's credit rating at risk of a downgrade, hurt financial markets, and raise the specter of higher interest rates, all while leaving today's problem for another day. Jay Dow, CBS News on Capitol Hill.
Neither Speaker Boehner's plan nor the one Senator Reid is proposing included additional tax revenues. a measure President Obama wanted paired with any spending cuts. We will have local coverage of the debt crisis coming up on 7 News at 6. Be sure to join us. In other news out of Carroll County, a change of plans for one troubled resort, as the Atwood Lake Resort and Conference Center is no longer scheduled for demolition. Now they say any government agency who is interested in taking the property can have it for free. If no one steps up, the resort will be put up for sale. The change of heart comes after an overflow of crowds that poured into the resort since their announcement on June 30th to tear it down. The Muskingum Watershed Conservancy District Board of Directors agreed to try and revive the resort. They believe a change in ownership could change the fate for the suffering lodge. This brings us to our web poll question from the WTRF.com web desk, where we're asking you, what would you like to see happen to the Atwood Lake Resort? A government agency should buy it, a private company or individual should buy it, or unsure. We'll have those results later tonight on Fox Ohio Valley at 10 and 7 News at 11. Well, dust off those dancing shoes. The second annual Park Dances Revisited event is this Saturday. From the 50s to the 90s, attending a park dance was a favorite thing for area teens. Last year, Timothy Boudreau revisited the idea, and thousands came pouring through the door. Set for July 30th at the ice rink at Wheeling Park, it costs only $10. Last year, people attending this 21 and over event were told to flash back to the 80s wardrobe. So what's in store for this year?
There are giveaways. We will have door prizes. There is a 50-50 raffle. There's also a school spirit raffle. And what we've done with that is make it so that the winner will win $1,000 cash, and the winning school, tallied on votes, number of votes for the favorite school, will also receive $1,000 in cash.
The Vet Center in Wheeling will be the beneficiary of this year's dance. If you would like to volunteer or need more information, log on to parkdancesrevisited.com or also log on to WTRF.com. With a wave of patents expiring, generic versions of 7 of the world's 20 best-selling drugs will soon hit the markets. And did you know that where children eat may affect how much they weigh? All this and much more when we return with Health Watch 7.